And welcome to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I am Beth Cooper.
And I am Stacey Earlywine, and we have a fun and interesting show for you today.
Yes, very interesting.
Something that we all glad that we have in our community.
Yes, what would we do without it? And if we didn't have this in our community?
Well,
we don't use it daily, but if it's there, we need it.
That's right.
Such a riddle. What are we even talking about?
I don't know. Riddle me this, Batman.
We're talking about fire departments. So we, of course, have to have fire departments in our community, and today we're going to discuss the history of at least one, maybe two fire departments in Clay County.
Yeah, I didn't get it was a little bit hard to find some history on a couple of them, but I got Xenia Fire Department's got a rich history, and we got a lot of pictures from Flora. I was at a graduation party at the Flora's firehouse, and all these really neat old black and white pictures. So I took Jim's phone and started taking pictures, and thought, how interesting would it be?
Oh yeah,
because a lot of fire stations have paid employees.
Yeah,
where ours is all volunteer.
Right.
And they do everything, not just fires. They do wrecks. They do, it's unreal. My father was a volunteer fireman back in the 70s.
Okay.
My uncle Harold Hemphill was a volunteer fireman, so was my cousin Jerry. So
yeah, the Hemphills, I think, have been on the fire department for a long time, because going back to the beginning, there were Hemphills listed. As members.
We're there. So, but so we're going to dive right into it, because we do have a lot of information we want to cover. And so, but let's dive right into
Let's talk about our old ad. We always start off with an old ad.
Old ad, yeah.
Yeah.
I found this book, and I'm going to lift it up here. Ty, would you mind zooming in on it here a little bit, hon? Yeah. La-di-da, dee-dee-dee.
I always feel like this part kind of makes our viewers dizzy. There we go.
Hey!
Lifetime Living.
Journal of Lifetime Living. I have never in my life seen this book.
No, I think I talked about this a little bit last time, but I think that it's kind of like a Reader's Digest type of thing.
It very much is.
But more on a local scale, maybe.
Yeah. I like the how to get a good credit rating.
Yeah, that's a good one. But the one that kind of made me giggle, 5 Ways to Popularity for Single Women.
It makes me, I may have to open up that page.
I wonder what they're telling them.
I don't know. During one of the breaks, I'll open it up and we'll see. We'll see what it is. But so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we have an ad in there. The year on the front of this is 1950.
59.
59.
And it was 35 cents.
Okay.
But I thought, since we were talking about fire departments, this ad might be fun.
Okay.
It is, let's see, there it is. Nerveless coffee. If you're a fireman, the last thing you need to be is loaded up on, this is decaf coffee.
Okay, nerveless.
Nerveless
doesn't have to be tasteless
anymore. Wonderful, but is it possible? Can you get coffee that fills your cup with deep, dark, fragrant luxury? Delights your senses with such delicious, hearty, satisfying flavor you truly can't tell it's 97% caffeine free. Discover Full Vigor Decaf, the new 97% caffeine-free coffee. And it is from Nestle, isn't it? Yeah, Nestle's decaf coffee.
I wonder if they still make that. I'm going to say probably not. But look how cute she is.
I loved her. She's so excited.
She's so 50s, too, with those short bangs and the little bow in the back.
Yeah, I'm digging this lady. Yeah, so fun.
Yeah, she's super cute.
Yeah, I think
I saw something somebody at a coffee shop had on their sign, and it said sad brown water, also known as decaf. Sad brown water.
Well, I'm a caffeine person. I'm not a coffee person.
I'm a little bit of, I like coffee, but I also like it to be more of like a latte or something.
Do you?
I can drink it black, but it's not my favorite.
I don't think I've ever had a latte.
Okay.
No, I've never had a latte. I don't think. I'm not. I like tea. I like cold drinks. I'm not much on the hot drink.
I usually get my coffee iced.
I like it. I like cold tea. But she's cute. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times I'm flipping through the ads, and it's like, well, I guess it's exactly what the ad's meant to do. Catch my attention.
Yep, it catches your attention.
It catches my attention. So, bravo to you, Nestle.
Yes.
The decaf coffee. You caught me, because she's adorable, little lady.
Yeah. Super cute.
But Beth, we probably need to dive into this episode. We've got a lot of information.
We got a lot to cover.
I'm going to let you take the lead, sis.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the Flora firemen. And I'm going to start off with the very first fire chief. He was a very well-known guy in our town, and his name, everyone called him Uncle Fay, but his name was E.D. Yeck, Y-E-C-K. The E.D. stood for, I have so many pages here.
I know. There was a lot to cover on some of this stuff. Golly gee.
Golly gee. It's E.D. everywhere I look. E.D. But I know his actual name is here somewhere. But anyway, when I see it, I'll say it. But he was Edwin Dufay Yeck was his name.
Dufay.
Oh, and everyone loved him. He was the very first fire chief. This is some of the words they wrote about him. Seldom a day passed in his life that he did not record an act of kindness. No long hours of daily toil were ever an excuse for withholding ministrations to one in need. To the sick or discouraged, his voice of cheer brightened hopes, and his soothing presence afforded solace in hours of grief. So everyone remembered him fondly. It is due his memory to say that the scope of his activities is a matter of more than local knowledge. So people knew of him all over. But however, being possessed of a retiring nature, it was his wish never to show any display of his deeds. It seemed to be a principle of his life that there is no limit to the good a man can do if he doesn't care who gets the credit. So he was very humble.
He was.
He didn't want the credit for everything he did in the community, but we'll get into that. He did a lot. It said when he became a part of the church, he severed affiliations with everything that was inconsistent with its doctrines. So he was a member of a local church here, and if anything that he was involved in didn't go along with what he believed, he let go of that. So
nice.
Let's
show a picture
moral.
of him, Ty,
yeah,
please.
We have a
nice. There he is, Uncle Fay Yeck.
Yes, Uncle Fay. It says he was constantly a builder, and was most happy when he was contributing to building a better friend, a better community, and a better world.
Oh, wow. Boy, they loved him.
I love this part. It says that his heart's affection was centered on the group of men comprising the local fire department is too well known to require emphasis. They were his boys. That is in capitalization. They were his boys. He was their first and only chief during the history of the organization, covering an unbroken period of 27 years.
Yeah.
So 27 years he was the fire chief, and he was well-loved, well-liked, and it said that he was 91 years old when he died in 1946, and he was the oldest living fire chief in the United States.
Wow.
At 91. And that's the age that he died. He was still being the fire chief at 91.
Well,
not retired.
Yeah.
He was no retirement for him.
Wow. Because the firehouse started, March 1921 is when Flora's firehouse
March
was.
of 21.
That's when Flora's was started in 1921.
Yes. Yeah. So it said
Wow.
He was born in a little hamlet in the hills of West Virginia long before the late John Denver made that state's country roads famous in a song. That part was written by Bill Oliver. He wrote an article about him. This is where I'm getting some of the information.
Bill Oliver.
So that's something Bill Oliver would quote would be a John Denver song.
I love my Bill Oliver.
Yeck was the youngest of 6 children, and he did not begin his firefighting career until he was 63.
63?
He didn't.
Okay.
So they didn't even have a fire department, I don't think, until he was 63. And
Okay,
then at
this
that
is
time,
funny.
In 1921, he became the chief.
My poor husband, Jim, is 60. And a few years ago, because Steve Pride, Devin Daniels, they're on the fire department. And when they're at my house and their fire calls go off, everybody gets excited. My poor Jim wanted to join the fire department. They're like, you're too old. He's like, well, I'll drive the truck. They won't let Jim be on the fire department because he's too old.
Oh, my gosh. Well, note to the current fire department, this awesome man wasn't even 63 until he started. So
Wow.
it says, even as he entered his 9th decade, Yeck said he was in no way ready for a rocking chair. Shortly before he died, he was quoted as saying that there is a city election coming up and things might change. They may not want me to continue as fire chief.
Oh.
He retained his job. So he was voted in again at age 90.
Well,
Yeah, so he took over as the head man of the department when it was organized in March of 21. And then he served without pay until 1937. So it was simply volunteer fire department, okay? But in 37, things kind of changed. So it said when a new station was constructed, complete with a truck station, chief's office, and club rooms, Yek was put on the payroll and was the only firefighter in the Corps there was 30 men. He was the only one that received a paycheck in 1937. It said the fire department was considered somewhat an exclusive club.
Really?
Yes, with a long waiting list of those who wanted to be members. So there was a lot of men in Flora wanted to join.
I wonder what was the draw to that exclusive club.
I don't know. Maybe they had a lot of really cool things in the firehouse to do.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like the popular people. These are maybe the people, Flora can be a little cliquey. This maybe was the cool crowd.
Maybe this was the cool kids.
Okay. The volunteers held monthly social meetings, a fall fish fry, and an anniversary banquet that was among the town's big social events of the year. So remember the anniversary banquet, because I'm going to describe a couple of those in a little bit. Yek once recalled that the first equipment was a two-wheel cart with 150 feet of hose.
A two-wheel cart.
The very first fires that they fought was with it seems a little funny now when you think about like how awesome our current equipment is that we have with the big fire trucks that are fancy and bright and shiny,
beautiful,
and full of awesome things that they
life-saving things.
Life-saving measures.
And they had a two-wheel cart.
They had a two-wheel. So I'm almost picturing like a wheelbarrow type of thing.
Well,
but that'd be a three-wheel.
I'm not going to lie. I went into cartoon mode right then.
Yeah. 150 feet of hose.
I can't even.
You can buy a garden hose at Walmart right now that's 150 feet.
I was
bet
going to say, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
When the siren would sound, all of the volunteers would race to the station, and $1 bonus was paid to the first one to take the hose cart to the fire. Ooh, a little incentive.
Right.
So you know what? Let's stop on Yek for a minute and talk about the siren, because growing up, I loved it. The siren would sound every day at noon in Flora.
I miss that
back.
It's only on Tuesdays now.
No. Not even
Tuesdays of the month, the first of the month.
Yeah, but that's
the tornado siren, isn't it?
That's the tornado siren.
Yeah.
That's not the same. That's not the fire whistle.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing that goes on for like a whole minute. No, the fire siren, the fire whistle was just it was like in a big tower right there behind the fire station, sort of where.
Are we talking like behind the city hall? Are we talking
Yeah, well.
Not the new one now.
Yeah, behind the old city hall, and it was like up on a tower. That was the fire whistle, and they would blow it every day at noon, and that's how you knew it was noon.
Well, let's take a quick break, and then we'll come right back.
Okay.
Fascinating.
Yes.
At your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville, you can count on experts to have the solutions to keep you running on the road or in the field. More than just your car, the Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville carry a large inventory of Napa products for farms, heavy trucks, and just about everything that moves. Experienced associates understand your needs and are ready to help with the perfect part at a great value. That's Napa Know-How at your locally owned Napa Auto Parts stores in Flora and Louisville. Briscoe Surplus Sales on the northeast edge of Flora is your one-stop do-it-all shop. Looking for rugged boots and footwear from great brands like Lacrosse, Rocky, and Carolina? They're there. How about top-notch small engine parts and service? Briscoe Surplus Sales has it. Whether you're wiring your switches or switching your wiring, Briscoe Surplus Sales has the solution and the know-how to help you get the job done right the first time. Briscoe Surplus Sales, your one-stop do-it-all shop.
We like technology at Flora Savings Bank. Here's what you can accomplish in our mobile banking app in less than 30 seconds. See account balances in your transactions, set up an account alert, make a transfer between accounts, get an alert text message about your transfer, pay a bill, turn your debit card off and then back on. It all happens in the palm of your hand with our free My Bank to Go app. Search My Bank to Go in the App Store or Google Play and give mobile banking a try. Flora Savings Bank, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Doors, paint, windows, electrical, plumbing, and much more. Oh yeah, give me all your guns too.
John Lucas.
What?
You better be dreaming about all the stuff we sell here at Zink Building Center.
Oh, I would. These buildings in Louisville on Route 45. It's a cool place.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're talking about fire stations and fire chiefs and fire departments in Clay County.
And we're talking about Mr. Yeck.
Yes, we're talking about Mr. Yeck, and then I got off and talking about the whistle.
Fantastic
and
man.
I missed that. I want Flora to bring back the new whistle.
We want the whistle. We want the new whistle.
But what was interesting about Yeck is that it said when the siren would sound, all of the volunteers would race to the station, and $1 bonus was given to the first one to take the hose cart to the fire. That was a pretty good bonus. $1? I mean, back then that was
and what we're talking, is this like the beginning, 1921?
Yeah. So it said the first truck purchased in 1921 and the first pumper bought in 1934 were well preserved by Yeck's personal care of all equipment. They were still in use in the 1950s. Wowzers! So
really?
He took care of everything personally, and 30 years later they were still using them. That's pretty good.
Was Mr. Yeck, this was his job? Was he fully?
Yeah.
He was the fire chief, and it was paid.
Yes.
Because our fire chief today doesn't get paid, correct?
Right. It's all volunteer.
It's
now.
all volunteer.
And he was only volunteer for the first 16 years, but then he went into a paid position. He was kind of getting older. By golly, by then he would have already been in his late 70s, and they were like, let's give the guy a paycheck. He's here all the time.
I say give it to him.
Okay, so it said Yeck once recalled the toughest fire he ever fought was at the old Orpheum Theater in the mid-1930s, a blaze which threatened the entire Flora business district. So the Orpheum burnt down. Another one was rebuilt. We kind of talked about the Orpheum in our talk about theaters, but I don't really think we talked about the fire. The fact that there was 2 Orpheums.
No, I don't think that ever came across.
Yeah.
Where did you come across this tidbit of information?
This is in the story about Yeck.
Huh.
And also doing some research for the cemetery tour, there was an article I found that talked about the new Orpheum. It kept mentioning the new Orpheum.
So the old one must have been burned down, and then we got a new one coming.
A number of out-of-town fire departments assisted in the day-long battle before the fire was finally extinguished. So that was a big fire. In addition to his duties on the fire department, Uncle Fay was also popular as a barber until he sold his shop in 1937. Okay, that's the year they started paying him, 1937. So he was a barber the first 16 years. As he was also fire chief, he was the barber in town. I'm thinking of Floyd the barber, like he.
Absolutely,
And then he must have sold his shop, retired from that, because how old would he have been in 37? And in his 70s, and then they started paying him. That was nice of the city to do that. Okay. So when the fire department became official in 1921, it had 31 charter members. They were E.D. Yeck, Uncle Fay, Merle Gahan, I don't know how to say that word, R.E. McCormick, Harlan Friend. We've talked about Friend family in another episode. R.H. Grant, E.K. Beaver, Lewis Rice. Well, there's a man that doesn't go by his initials. Lewis Rice.
Thank you, Lewis.
Arthur Gorell, J.I. Hornbuckle, O.T. Goff, Hay White. His first name is Hay, Hay.
Hey.
Hey.
I
like that. Hey. Gus Wands, A.D. Schreiner, Archie McCulley, Frank Luce. We talked about the Luces and something else.
A lot of these names are not coming to mind.
Harvey Huff, E.O. Beck, Jay Bowman. We've talked a little bit about F.E. Naney, Walter Rogers, R.J. Cunningham, Lawrence Quinn, Claude Gilliland, Charles Briscoe, Leo Allen, Glenn Baker, N.P. Shepard, S.M. Hemphill.
Yep, there's the Hemphills. Hemphills are big firemen.
Chester Howard, Alphys Kirkpatrick, and John Venable.
Nice.
Okay, so that's about that.
How interesting.
Yes. Let's see if I have more on Yeck. That's not Yeck. This.
You've got so many papers.
I got so many papers about Yeck. Okay, so, but then sadly, he died.
Oh.
He died at 91.
91.
So shortly after he had gotten voted in again, as the fire chief, he passed away, and he was at the home of his niece, Mrs. Faye Louise Bryan, in Knoxville, Tennessee. and he had went there to spend the holidays. This happened at Christmas.
So they must have not expected him to pass away.
No, it was very unexpected. He had taken a 30-day leave of absence from the fire department and went to Knoxville, Tennessee for a month to spend the holidays with his niece. So he died of a heart attack, and they put his body on a train and brought it back to the city of Flora, and there was a big welcoming crowd.
Can you
There was a
imagine?
lot of people that were very upset. He was so well liked, so well known, and so they had like a welcoming committee there at the depot. The Hancock Funeral Home took the body and held the services at the First Baptist Church. Due to the redecorating of the Methodist Church at the time. Apparently, he was a member of the Methodist Church. But
What year did he die?
This was in 1948.
48.
So the members of the Flora Fire Department were in charge of the final rites with everything, and they had their own little. Most of them were pallbearers. If they weren't the pallbearer, they were like honorary. I have to find where it says that, but. Uncle Fayez, he was familiarly can't say that, and lovingly
Sometimes it's hard to
known,
read those newspaper articles.
lived up to that title until the last. Even when his health began to fail a few months ago, he had kind of been in bad health, and he still made the fire runs with his boys, as he called the members of the fire department, and actively assisted in fighting the fires.
Is he? I'm assuming he's buried at Elmwood.
I think he is. Let's
Now,
see
have
if
we
it
ever
says
done
that.
him on the cemetery tour? I think we need to do him on the cemetery tour, don't you?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down.
It says, in life, he shunned publicity, which in the last few years was thrust on him constantly. In death, there is little more to say of this grand old man than that has been said countless times. I'm not sure if he would appreciate that cemetery tour. Like, if he would want to be featured, he would probably say no if he was alive. I get the feeling he was.
You know what? He's
doesn't
not
get
alive.
He doesn't get to say so. We want to celebrate him.
Well,
He did great things.
there's men like that, and then there's people like me that's like, I'm going to write my own skit for the cemetery tour. Then when I'm dead, I need to pick out my. I want Carissa, your daughter Carissa, to play me.
Oh, yeah. She would do great. She knows you so well. She knows you so well. So
Yeah, isn't that fascinating?
Yep, he was a pretty cool guy. So
We have some, now I don't know what I'm going to talk a little bit about Xenia, but we do have some pictures that I took from the old firehouse. You want to go through some of those?
Yeah, let's go through some of the
Let's go through
pictures.
some of these pictures that.
And I have more on Flora too. We can jump around if you
Good.
want. Or I can
Let's
the
go
rest
through
on
some of
Flora.
our pictures
Okay,
here.
let's see what we got.
Okay. These are all fire chiefs, and that man, I didn't take a good picture of that one. I can't. That name, he escapes me. But
Okay.
there's Leo Hediger.
Mm-hmm.
That's another fire.
86.
Homer Butte.
Okay.
We'll just flip through these.
Okay.
Herb Henson. Yeah. George Irwin. Look at him. I don't know. He looks like a movie star to me.
Yeah, that's a cool picture.
He almost looks like Charles. Yeah, he's very. Elmer Wood. These are some of our fire chiefs through the years. Of course, there's Bruce Dickey. Is that all the fire chiefs we got except for Mr. Yak? That's it. Then let's just go through. There's a couple pictures.
Yeah, there's Yak
look
again.
at that. There's me. Look at me taking.
Oh, you're in the reflection. Girl, you need to work on your photography.
I am not a good. Well, you notice it's not my hand. Steve Pride's taking the picture.
Oh, funny.
I'm just standing there.
We'll blame that on Steve.
We're gonna blame Steve.
Yeah.
So let's go through some more of the pictures here. There's a picture. These are some of the old fire trucks.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I don't have one of
I
those
bet that's
original.
in the 30s.
And then these are just some of the fires.
Oh, wow. I wonder where that
Downtown
was.
buildings. This
Okay.
is. You remember when you were? I think this is. If I could see that, that's 1922.
The Seed House fire.
Yeah, is it because you remember when we were talking? Because there's the tracks.
Yep.
There's the railroad tracks, and do you remember whenever all the one part of North Avenue was wiped out? Remember when they all caught on fire?
No.
Oh, gosh, the Scudamore building.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm wondering if any of these are any of these buildings.
Yeah, I
but
don't
that's just
know.
the firemen.
The Seed House, man, look at those old wooden frame buildings. I bet that just was like
Went
spread
up
like-
in no
and time.
Let's look at these guys. They are not just all decked.
No,
They're
they
guys
didn't
just
have equipment.
They
like
did
what
not
we
have
now. They
equipment.
didn't know.
No, let's just go flip through a couple more here. And that's just a fun.
Picture. Yeah, you
that's
see the
in
old fire station back there.
1973.
Okay.
My Uncle Harold is in this picture.
Oh, cool.
I'm not sure where he's at. Leo Spitzner's down in front. Yeah, like I said, my Uncle Harold's in this picture. I don't know if my dad's in that one or not, but yeah, Uncle Harold's definitely in that one. Let's hit another one. That's a cool picture. Look at this one.
That's a really
This is an
cool
early
one.
picture.
Yeah, look at those trees is winter. And then there's a big old house in the background. Where are they?
That is I don't know. That's the house that's kind of like, I think that's like where the Methodist church is at. I think that the library is to their right, and right behind them, because it looks, see the Methodist church right above the top man.
Oh, yeah.
See, yeah, so that's literally, they're like the city hall and the old fire department there on that road, which would be 2nd Street.
Yes, they
And then
are.
there's the Methodist church. There were a couple houses.
Yep.
That house, I don't know if that's Haskell's house that we're seeing in the right or not. I think it might be.
They are facing the old fire station in that
see,
picture.
yeah, see, so yeah, that is. So that would be Haskell's house that we're going to cover right to the right, because then that house to the left there is tore down between the church, and that's their fellowship
That's the old
hall.
Shriver house back there. We're going to talk about that on another episode.
And then do this one. Now we're looking like if we are facing, that's the, is the Four Sisters factory.
Oh.
Right behind them.
Okay.
That's on 2nd Street. Like if we're on 2nd Street between the library and the fire department, and you're looking to the east, that's the Four Sisters garment factory, I believe.
Okay. Well, I've never actually seen a picture of that, so that's cool.
That's the Four Sisters factory. Okay. And then this is just super cool, hanging out in the city hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And look at them. They're just like hanging out. That's firemen and their wives.
Very neat.
Neat. I don't know. Do I have any more pictures? This lady, this is during Fordtown. This lady, she was an anchor woman from St. Louis. She was a weather woman, and her name was Betsy, and she was here for Fordtown. So she just went over and had her picture taken with the guys. So whenever Fordtown was, I can't remember when that was. But yeah, I think that might be all. And I don't know why the gentlemen are holding a big garter. But this is a picture.
This is hysterical.
That is literally in front of the old city hall right now on North Main Street.
Yeah, they were just standing there,
and they're holding a big old garter belt.
That is too funny.
How funny. Is that the last one, Ty?
Yeah.
That's the last picture.
And that was during Fordtown. So
and that's the B&O, that's the roundhouse.
Oh, that's when the roundhouse burnt in 51. So
yeah.
When we do a show on the depot, we can talk about that. But there was a roundhouse that was kind of across State Street. And
that sucker's burning hot.
Yeah, it was full of oil. That's where they changed all the oil and did all of that. It was full of that stuff, and it just caught on fire. And
but we're going to take a quick commercial break. Fascinating pictures. We'll be right back.
If you're looking for a loan for your brand new home, call Clay County State Bank. If you want to transfer money so your future will look sunny, call Clay County State Bank. We got checking and savings and bill pay too.
An online bank, just ask our crew.
For all your banking needs, we think you will agree.
Clay County State Bank is the place you need to be.
Clay County State Bank.
At Clay City Banking Company, we're all on the same team, regardless of zip code. At home, work, school, or across the country, you can be part of our team with our cutting-edge mobile banking products. From your hand, you can check balances, transfer money, make deposits, and pay bills. Looking for a loan? We've got you covered with our mortgage, agriculture, commercial, and consumer loans. Join our team today. Clay City, Flora, Louisville, and Fairfield Banking Companies. We're the hometown banks, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
It's the weekend and your symptoms are worsening. The morning of a big meeting and you have a bigger sore throat. Ever experienced that urgency after picking up your sick child and your community health center has already closed? You will be able to connect to a provider at crhpc.org. Even if you have never been to CRHPC, you are welcome to utilize our services. Feel better after scheduling a video visit with CRHPC.
Tomorrow. Some fear the uncertainty it brings. Some trust the promise it holds. At Grinnell Mutual, we are always looking forward to tomorrow, growing and innovating. So even if the plans you have for the future aren't the same as the plans that the future holds for you, you could be ready. Because we'll be ready, like we have been for over 100 years. Trust in that. Trust in tomorrow. Talk to your mutual agent today.
Your local agent is on the square. Louisville, Clay County Farmers Mutual Insurance.
Welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. Today we're discussing firehouses and fire departments and all things fiery.
Fantastic, very strong men.
Yes. So we talked a little bit about Uncle Fay. He was the first fire chief in Flora, and one of the things that I alluded to was that they had these fantastic anniversary dinners every year, and so they would celebrate with an anniversary dinner, and then they would put it in the paper what they did, and some of them were a little unremarkable. Each year was about their anniversary dinner, but when they celebrated their 30th anniversary dinner, it kind of caught my eye what they did. So it said the Flora Volunteer Fire Department celebrated its 30th anniversary with a banquet held at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was originally scheduled for 7 p.m., but it was postponed until 8:30 due to the Roundhouse Fire, the biggest in the organization's history. So, 1951.
You want to show that picture again while we're talking?
We'll look at the Roundhouse.
There's the Roundhouse.
They were all ready to go party that night for their 30th anniversary, and then this happened, and it was devastating. They were there a long time. So, they didn't get to start the party until 8:30 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
But scheduled to speak at the banquet was Emmett T. Cox, senior field officer of the Fire Prevention Department of the Western Actuarial Bureau of Chicago. Okay, so that doesn't really mean anything to us, but he spoke on the subject of atomic attacks on the United States. Okay, so this was not a joyous party. This was kind of during the was this at the same time as the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Yeah, it's 51,
and all this?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're worried about atomic attacks. And they explained what would be expected of the Florida Department should St. Louis or some other target area in this part of the country be struck by bombs. So we're celebrating our anniversary. Yay!
30
Let's
years.
talk about atomic bombs. Let's talk about what you volunteers who all have families at home are going to do when the atomic bombs hit.
When the whistles blow.
Yeah, and that is what they sat and listened to, and I think it went on for a very long time.
Wow.
It said that there is no possibility that an atomic bomb would be dropped on Flora. He pointed that out. Mm-hmm. If bombers can't hit their primary or secondary target, they will take the bomb back with them. So they think that St. Louis would maybe be a primary target. Okay. So it said that the Flora Fire Department would receive orders from an appointed officer in St. Louis, and then it would be expected to fight fires caused by the firestorm, which follows atomic explosions. He said that the most important thing to remember in combating atomic attack is to use common sense. When there is a possibility a person has been exposed to radioactive radiation, his clothes should be buried and he should carefully bathe, paying particular attention to hair and fingernails. The most important thing of all, the speaker said in conclusion, is to start now in combating communism in its action of gnawing from within that will prevent the possibility of war. So he's warning that communism will start from within and to be careful. C.E. Hemphill, I think that might be Charles Hemphill, was master of ceremonies at the banquet, which had 80 persons, firemen and their guests, attended. A motion picture of the Texas City explosion and the fire of 1947 was shown to the group. So I just feel like this whole party was a major bummer.
That's a bummer party.
Major downer.
It's not like the Xenia fish fry by no means.
Their other parties all sounded like they all had a nice dinner and heard a few
I wanted
speeches
that one picture
and
I
went
showed
home.
with the wives. I bet that was a party. That was one of the parties.
But this part was interesting. It said during its 30 years of existence, the fire department has answered 1,123 alarms. So that's
in 30 years?
In 30 years? I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like, I don't know.
So anyway, interesting how they celebrated their 30th. I don't think that was good.
Let's celebrate by talking about the atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm. But they also did all these other fundraisers too. And so this one was one that they did in 1930, which was a little different. It says the headline is Firefighters Show Pleases. And then it was the Negro Minstrel put on by the Flora Fire Department at Orpheum Theater last Wednesday and Thursday nights was well attended, and the audiences were well pleased with the performance and gave vent to frequent rounds of applause of the various numbers. Betty Suggett, the Little Wonder, sure did her stunts in great style. Negro minstrel show. I'm not sure if the members were Negro or if they were in blackface. I'm not sure, because that was kind of the minstrel shows were known to have blackface.
Blackface, yeah. What year was this?
1930.
Yeah. Would they be doing blackface in the 30s?
Yeah, I think they would have been. The receipts were not so large as last year, so that meant they didn't make as much money. And the costume expenses were greater, so they spent more than usual. So that the net sum realized was loss. They actually ended up not making any money on this. They lost money.
Wow.
However, the firemen were well pleased with the result and wished to express appreciation to all who bought tickets and attended the show. So they probably didn't do another minstrel show. But they did do something else that was pretty cool. This was in 1948. So that was in 1930. So 18 years goes by. I don't know what they did in between. But in 1948, they hired the Giz Kids to come here.
The Giz Kids.
Giz Kids in February of 1948. Now, these kids were in a wheelchair. These were a wheelchair basketball game. Okay?
Really?
Mm-hmm. So, and their featured player, these were veterans in wheelchairs doing charity basketball games to raise money for their charity, which I'll get into. But one of their featured veteran star basketball players was none other than Flora's own Doug Phillips.
Really?
Yes. And it says,
how interesting.
On Thursday, February 19th, there will be a basketball game at the high school gym between the Flora Fire Department and the Giz Kids from Vaughn General Hospital, located in Hines, Illinois. Due to the fact that the Giz Kids are all from the paraplegic ward, it is necessary that the game be played in wheelchairs, at which the kids have become quite proficient. So the kids were really good at this. Firemen probably not so much, and it was probably sure to be pretty funny. Douglas Phillips, a local boy, is a member of the team from Hines, and according to the Chicago Herald-American, the blonde boy from Flora is one of the best basket shots on the team. It said a current razor will be played consisting of 4 5-minute quarters between the Flora Rotary Club and the Kiwanis Club, so they were also involved. At this time, we do not have the lineup of the two teams, but it is rumored that Dr. Bowman and Tom Shipley will probably start at the center positions.
How exciting.
So then it goes on to talk a little bit about the fire department, but it says in the past their funds have principally come from their minstrel shows, which this community has patronized very liberally. So equipment for this Giz Kids is provided by the hospital, and they are bringing 10 wheelchairs, 5 for the Giz Kids and 5 for the firemen, who will make up the competing team. So I would imagine that the Giz Kids probably won this game by quite a lot, but this is how it was played. It was played as close to the regulation basketball as possible, with 2 exceptions. 1, a dribble is 1 bounce of the ball and 2 pushes of the wheelchair only. Then the player must bounce the ball again before he can continue. Failure to do so gives the opposing team possession of the ball. So you can't travel.
Okay, wait a minute. That is.
Yeah. So it's 1 dribble, 2 rolls.
Wow.
1 dribble, 2 rolls, or you're traveling. Okay.
Holy cow.
Rule number 2.
Wow.
No more than 3 wheelchairs of each team are allowed beneath the basket area distance, which is from the free throw line to the end of the court and covering the full width. So you can't, there's 5 on each team, no more than 3 under the basket area, or 2 have to hold back. Otherwise, I guess it's just a little too crowded under there.
It probably would be.
Said uniforms were donated by the Tam O'Shanter Country Club. I don't even know where that is. Tickets can be secured from any Flora fireman. So that was pretty cool. And,
That's neat.
And Doug Phillips was the star of the team. And so the money raised was split between the Flora Fire Department, got half of it. The other half went to the Spinal Research Fund, which was the team's, their own charity group that they wanted it to go to. That was their way to raise funds for their deserving cause. So, Anyway, pretty cool.
That is neat.
I've never seen a wheelchair basketball game, but I have seen them on TV.
I've seen them on TV,
but
I didn't know
Arthur that they do what they do.
I never did
there.
know we did one of those here.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. But that was a great way to raise money. It
That
worked
is
out
kinda
well.
neat.
I think that was probably a better thing than the minstrel shows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, interesting. So
That is interesting.
Our Flora Fire Department has an interesting history.
They do have an interesting history.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to touch a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about Xenia.
Okay.
Of course, we know Clay City has a fire department. Louisville has a fire department, but I did not get... Actually, we couldn't have done them all at the same time anyway.
No, I don't think we could have.
So we'll probably have to do Clay City and Louisville another day, but we'll touch on Xenia. And Xenia, from my understanding, is the first fire department in Clay County.
Okay.
So let me get situated here. Here we go, and we will talk a little bit about that before we have to go to a commercial break. The Xenia Fire Department has the distinction of being the oldest organized department in Clay County and one of the state's older departments also.
Oh, one of the oldest in the
So it's one of the oldest in the states.
Okay.
It was organized by charter on November 12th, 1895. So what's that, 26 years prior to Flora having.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And named the Xenia Volunteer Fire Company #1. The original 12 members were N.T. Pierce, W.W. Campbell, W.P. Tully, M.M. Stanley, F.L. Payne, A.P. Evans, J.W. Fye, A.M. Howard, H.E. Gauger, G-A-U-G-E-R.
I think Gager, maybe.
Gager, A.R. Cox, R.N. Fleming, and T.B. Howland. I would really love to know all their real names.
Yeah. No kidding.
It's like, okay, that's crazy. The Xenia Mayor, Charles Filson, addressed the 1907 meeting of the Illinois Firemen's Association, telling how our department was started. It's very interesting how it was started. I'm going to touch just a little bit, and I'll probably have to pause. A young man of 15 or 16 years of age by the name of N.T. Pierce, P-I-E-R-C-E,
okay,
was the founder of the organization. So you had a teenager who was the founder of the Xenia department.
Wow, that's cool.
He was the son of one of Xenia's wealthier businessmen, and he persuaded the sons of other wealthy men to join him. Together with a few dollars from their fathers, they molded what was to shortly become the first-class department for a small town with no water mains, which the larger cities had.
Oh,
so you had 15,
interesting.
16-year-old boys come from pretty wealthy families that are getting ready to start the Xenia Volunteer Fire Department, and they had no water. So we'll take a quick commercial break, and we'll come back with this really fascinating story.
Do you bowl like this? That's great. Do you bowl like this? That's great too. That's because whether you're a pro or you just want to have a lot of fun, at Peggle's Silver Dollar Lanes, we have a lane for you. We have galaxy bowling, gaming for kids and adults, Joe's Pizza, a full bar, darts, pool, and fresh and clean bowling shoes. Boy, does that smell nice. So come on down to Peggle Silver Dollar Lanes in Effingham, where we have a lane for you.
My name is Robin Stanford. I own Stanford Marketing. It's a promotional products business along with an embroidery business. And we do custom hats, t-shirts, anything, you name it, we can make it. People like that we do stuff in-house and we can actually make things here and that we're not contracting the work out to other places. We never say no. We always try to find a way to do it. If anybody can do it, we can do it. We are hardworking women, that is for sure. Come to Stanford Marketing in Flora for all your custom and promotional needs.
The insurance specialists have options to tailor to your needs at CSI Insurance Brokers. Experienced insurance brokers at CSI are skilled with all types of insurance plans and policies and represent many companies, including Safeco Insurance. You'll benefit from their detailed expertise, unbeatable premiums, and commitment to customer service. CSI Insurance Brokers and Safeco Insurance Company, providing affordable rates on quality insurance since 1952.
For over 50 years, at your locally owned and operated Roll King Supply in Salem and Olney, we've helped you and your neighbors enjoy an easy country lifestyle. We carry the most thorough sporting goods department around with a huge variety of hunting and fishing gear, camping equipment, and a variety of firearms for any need. Our team is here to help you find whatever you need. Open every day, it's Rural King in Salem and Olney, your locally owned farm and home store.
And welcome back to By the Way with Beth and Stacey. I'm Beth Cooper.
I am Stacey Earlywine, and we are talking about the fascinating stories of early firehouses.
Yep.
We focused on Flora earlier, now we're touching on Xenia. And we have, in our studies, found out that Xenia is the first fire department that was erected in 1895 in Clay County, and one of the first firehouses in the state.
In the whole state.
In the state. Yeah,
Good for them. And it was started by teenage boys.
Teenage boys, yes.
Who says teenagers can't do things?
Right, yeah.
They can.
Yeah, a 15-year-old boy, N.T. Pierce, who his father was a wealthy businessman of Xenia, decided that he wanted to start a fire station. So he gets his other friends that, comes from families with money, and they're like, hey, why don't we start a fire station? And they started a fire station with absolutely no water mains.
So then what did they do?
Okay. Many of the local citizens thought the department was nothing more than a playhouse.
Well, they weren't being taken seriously. Sounds like teenage boys.
Yeah, but soon found out the boys were dedicated to their cause of protecting lives and property. This is exciting. The first piece of firefighting equipment they had to use was a hook and ladder wagon. It was constructed by M.C. Nicholson and J.W. Stout, two of Xenia's fine citizens.
Okay, so they built them a wagon with a ladder.
Two citizens of Xenia built them a wagon with a ladder. Together with the boys' help, this early fire truck came into being. It boasted ladders, pike poles, 24 galvanized buckets. So when these guys put out a fire, they did it with buckets.
Wow, good for them.
Six 3-gallon Stemple fire extinguishers, and a pull-down hook to drag down the walls of the buildings they failed to save.
Oh.
So they had fire and pull-down hooks to drag down the walls that were burned.
That sounds incredibly unsafe.
Incredibly unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Chief, I love this, Fire Chief Pierce and Fireman F.L. Payne developed Xenia's fire alarm system soon after the charter had been drawn up. So maybe we need to... If 15 and 16-year-old kids can come up with a new fire alarm.
Mm-hmm. Flora. Bring back
the
noon whistle. I want the noon whistle.
I can just hear it. I love the noon whistle. Mm-hmm. Let's bring back the noon whistle. How exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where am I?
That's my new pet cause.
It is?
Yeah, that's going to be it.
After we clean up Samuel White's grave.
Yes. First things first.
First things.
Okay.
The original alarm system had 7 alarm boxes and 23 bells. Later, the department would have 16 improved boxes and 35 of the latest type single-stroke electromechanical gongs. The system was so reliable that it was often compared to the world-renowned Gamewell and American alarm system used in larger cities like St. Louis and Chicago. Little Xenia.
Good for them. Little towns do big things.
They do. In the year of 1902, the firemen of the city council signed a contract to purchase a steam fire engine.
Okay.
This contract was made June 10th with the American Fire Engine Company, would soon give Xenia a fire department second to none for a small community. This steam engine was one of the first of its types. So here we go. Now we're going to get a steam engine. It's going to be the first. It has been made specially narrow in order for the men to pull it down the town's sidewalks.
So it's not something you drove.
They did not drive the steam engine. They pulled it.
And it was full of coal that was making steam?
I'm assuming this was necessary because of the large amount of dirt streets, which much of the year turned to mud. So they made it narrow because they couldn't pull it down the mud streets, so it had to be a narrow so they could put it along the sidewalks. Interesting. This cosmopolitan engine must have been pretty unique because after it was built, the company shipped it from Cincinnati, Ohio to New York City. There it was on exhibit and put on a performance pumping water before the National Association of Fire Chiefs of the world.
Oh my gosh, Xenia, good for you. That was like center stage, national spotlight in New York City.
Yes, their little steam engine that they built.
The little engine that could.
Exactly, from Xenia.
Huh.
How crazy is this?
See, people, you
love
never know what
this.
happened in Flora or Clay County, Xenia, whatever, until you start reading about it. We did big things.
We did do big things. It's crazy. La 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 la. Again, in 1904, the Xenia firemen took the little engine to St. Louis, Missouri, to the World's Fair. The town took delivery of the engine September 12th, 1902. It weighed 1,500 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Pumped
Half a ton.
Half a ton. Pumped 125 gallons per minute. And the cost, $1,610. Yeah.
So then did they make more of these and sell them?
Well, they just keep getting a little bit better and better. Then they start, from this point on, it says the firemen kept a fire and a stove to keep the water in the boiler warm. Then they could quickly light the fuel in the firebox and have the steamer pumping water in about 3 minutes.
Wow.
It says there were 8 fire cisterns in town, each holding about 12,000 gallons of water from which the steam could draft water to fight fires.
Wow. So that's how you have a fire department when you have no water mains.
That's right. I find that completely fascinating.
That is fascinating.
I wonder where that little engine's at now.
Probably in a museum somewhere.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. She found it.
Wait a minute.
Where's it at?
No, one is in, okay, wait a minute. One is in the Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and the other has disappeared. Wow. Our original 1902 sits on display at the Xenia Fire Station.
Well, we need
Wait
a tour.
Minute. Yeah, we need a tour of this.
It might not still be
there. So our original 1902 sits on display at the Xenia Fire Station to remind us of our heritage. Okay, how many fish fries have we gone to, guys, and I've never seen this?
I wonder if it's still there. When's this book printed that you're reading from?
Goes to 1984. I don't know, but I need to ask about the fire engine.
To know.
We
need to know that.
Inquiry minds. So if anybody knows that, give us a shout out.
Yeah, send us a picture. You can email us at bytheway@gmail.com. We would love to see it.
Nice. So then we've got all that history going on. In 1909, a chemical and hose wagon was built and added. 17 years passed, but before any major equipment changes were made, the records are vague, but show that a Model T Ford truck with a pumper body was put into service on April 6, 25. In 1926, the fire department began using a siren with which to alert the firemen and citizens of a fire or of impending disasters.
Okay.
In 1936... they brought with it the new Ford Flathead V8 truck with a Howl fire apparatus pumper body. So we just keep getting better. In 1954, a Chevy truck was equipped as a pumper, made a pumper by the Crackle Machine Shop in Clay City. So we had a Crackle.
So they just bought a regular Chevy truck and they sent it over to a machine shop at Clay City and said, "Turn that puppy into a fire truck, would you please?"
This fire truck would hold 500. It had a 500-gallon tank and could pump 400 gallons per minute.
That's a lot, I think, for the time. Wow.
Sometimes in the 1960s, the department purchased a used panel truck. It served as an emergency vehicle and carried extra fire equipment. And of course, then due to the lack of money, we have to start doing a little fundraising. Where did I talk about the fundraising over here? La, 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 la. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And then in 1969, the department received a new Ford Tilt cab truck. So now we can pump out 750 gallons per minute. During 1970, a 1974 wheel drive 3-4-ton GMC fire truck built by Towers Fire Apparatus. It can pump 500 gallons per minute, carry 200 gallons of water, and is used to fight grass fires. So now you've got different fire trucks to do different things.
Yeah, they have a lot of equipment by then.
Yeah. And in 1980, the district erected a 30 by 40 steel building in Orchardville. It is known as the Orchardville Substation.
Okay.
So
that probably made sense.
That
there's
did make
probably,
sense.
7 or 8 miles between Xenia and Orchardville?
Yeah. Yeah. Good men throughout the years have filled the ranks of being firemen. They often have been called to do much more than firefight. Xenia firemen have often helped at wrecks, emergency patient care, break up fights, or to pump out flooded basements. Over the years, the men have put on community plays, helped at the village park, and put the annual fish fry, which draws a large crowd to the street dance and tractor pull. Before I end this, I have got to throw this story. This is fantastic. You're going to love this.
Okay.
In 1906, 5 or 6 men were in the town jail. They had been hollering and yelling and creating quite a commotion. The mayor gave them 15 minutes to get quiet. They ignored him, just as they ignored everyone else, because they said no one was brave enough to come in and stop them. Mayor Filson summoned Chief Pierce, and his firemen, who brought the 1902 steam engine to the scene.
Okay, so the one that had been in the World's Fair, the skinny 1,000-pound thing, that's full of boiling water fired by coal, making steam, brought that to the jail.
They brought it to the jail.
Oh, my gosh.
By now, about 500 people, he said, had congregated to see what would take place. The prisoner said, "You are afraid to turn that hose on us." Mayor Filson told the town citizens to stand back because we are going to sprinkle our lawn. I'm loving the mayor.
Oh, I'm loving him too.
The chief and his men turned the hose on the men and came very near drowning them, thus ending the ruckus. So you can see that the firemen have served many roles in Xenia.
Wow. Nowadays, they'd get sued by the
Can
families.
you imagine? That's how it should be, though.
Yeah.
The Xenia Fire Department is proud to be a part of this community's great heritage and hopes the people are proud of the department which serves them. Bravo, Xenia. You don't have the nerve to shut us up.
Oh,
well,
yes,
we're going to
do.
water the lawn. And almost drowned him.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which, you know how I feel about certain things. That's bravo to Xenia.
Yeah.
Loved it. Fantastic. Yep. That was a fun episode.
That was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. That was awesome.
I liked that, Uncle Faye. Yeah, I think he was a friend to everybody.
They're God. And like I said, they do more than just go into fires. And the next time that you see a fire, my dad was a volunteer fireman. He said, you do not chase ambulances, you do not chase fire trucks, do not get in their way, do not be a rubberneck. He said, and these men are just every average day, alarm goes off and they take off running and they don't know what they're getting into. They are very brave, strong men.
They absolutely are. Well, we always end our show with a rule to live by or a famous quote.
I love this one.
What do we got today?
Thomas Edison.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
I love his positivity.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great. Found 10,000 ways that didn't work.
Yeah, we are out of time, my friend.
Yeah, that went by so fast.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us on By the Way. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
God bless you. Have a great day.